I forget what I have about myself on the website. And I was listening to that and thinking, oh, I am busy. And I am, mostly in a very good way, particularly related to the community. And that's actually the real joy of this particular job and this particular organization. It says Sarnia at the front end. We are fortunate to be able to service Lambton County specifically, and actually we're constructed uniquely that we can actually donate right across the country. Some community foundations are limited, we are not. And so we take that C word very seriously. And I think if we've learned nothing else from COVID, we've learned about the importance of community and relying on one another. Perhaps that's the only good outcome of COVID, is just that opportunity to step back and reflect about what's actually really important for one another. So I am going to share this PowerPoint with you, and I'm going to do it this way. Let me just see if I can do it this way. Come on. 5. No, okay. Hang on. All right. Well, I guess you're going to see all the slides, whether I want them or not.
Jane, if you go to slideshow, I think that will do it. It's slideshow right
at the end. Yes. Yeah. It's, oh, hang on. From beginning. There we go. Perfect. That's great. So community does mean a lot of things to many people, and it's all the world to us. It's all we say and all that we do. We're all actually for the community. And we take community in various pods and pieces. You are our community. Amjanong is a community. The LGBTQ folks are a community. And so each of those has a particular need. So we are using the tagline right now, you care, you donate, and we deliver. And we are working towards a vibrant, inclusive, and livable Lambton County. So I'm going to just show you what happens just a little, if this will run. Yeah, just a little bit about what happens when people do donate. Oh, no, didn't like that. Hang on just a second. There, that's what I want. So one of the really interesting things about what we do is that we work with people from all walks of life who want to make a difference today, tomorrow, forever. There's no minimum size donation that we accept. There's no maximum size either. Most of the donations to the foundation are modest in size. In fact, our average is about $100 now. Which is kind of interesting. Some people choose to donate over time. We allow people to build their own funds at the foundation for specific causes. And of course, what we do is as you've said, is we invest and we steward, and we give back to the community in the form of grants. We really have 3 principal roles as a community foundation. Our job is really to connect people and ideas together. We want to build community that literally for good and forever. So we have 3 principal roles. One is donor services, where we work with donors to build those endowment funds. We spend a great deal of time working on investments. And even in this year where the markets have been all over the map, I'm very proud to tell you that we're in positive territory and have been since about the beginning of September. Which is great. So we will have sufficient monies to give next year. The board wisely opted a couple of years ago to establish reserve funds to protect that. So we've fiscally, we're very, very responsible with those monies and very soundly invested. It's a conservative portfolio. We don't take a lot of risk. So we're trying to ensure for future generations. I spent a lot of time talking to people about what philanthropy actually is. It's not only the giving of money, it's the giving of time, it's the giving of spirit. And that's an important thing. Sometimes ideas are the best gifts that you can give. And so one of the things that we did a lot in the last little while is we asked people, some of you will have seen this in your mailbox. It's a little card asking folks to go to our website and answer 10 short questions. We're actually looking for input as to where we need to move next. We want to know from the community what the issues are. And we provide donor advisory services. So if we're not the right fit for a donor, we'll find the right fit for them. I have been in the interesting position of saying, you know, I think what you want to accomplish would be better served by you working with this agency as opposed to us. We make grants on an annual basis. This year, that will be pretty close to $750,000. So it's more than 7.
Jane, could I interrupt you just for a second? The sound of your voice is diminishing. My husband, who is a music teacher, thinks you need to be closer to your microphone.
Okay, there. Does that help?
That is better. Yeah,
okay,
thanks.
I will keep. Thank you. All right. So from a grants perspective, you would have seen in that video the wide variety of agencies that we are able to grant to. We are not limited. If it's a charitable cause, we can make that work. Sometimes if it's not a charitable cause, if it's still just an idea, we can also make that work. And one of the things that we've been working with is a group of folks out in Petrolia to build a fully accessible park play structure. They are not a charity, but we've managed to work with the town of Petrolia in order to make their the gifts that come to that fund at the foundation will eventually be in the ground as that fully accessible play structure. So we do that, and we invest in post-secondary students. We actually run approximately 15 different scholarships right now, ranging in value from about $1,000 to $8 to $9, depending on market years. One of the ones that I'm the most pleased with is one that came to us. It provides assistance to doctors, medical students who have the intent of practicing in Lambton County. And I can tell you that the 3 of the scholarships that we gave last year actually resulted in the 3 physicians remaining in the community. They're out in Petrolia. That's not a bad thing. I think that's a great thing, actually. The third pillar is our leadership. We strengthen connections among residents. I spend a lot of time just talking to people and kicking ideas around. We look proactively to plan for future community need, and that's one of the reasons that we've asked people to go to the website and give us their input. We're a bit of a knowledge hub in terms of donations and what would make it work for folks, and we actually facilitate funding from other sources. And so this year we've been really fortunate to have been able to get money from the federal government to bring to the community for 3 different projects. One is the Emergency Community Support Fund. The second is the Investment Readiness Fund. And the third is we're on the edge of a fund called Gender Equality as well. In that I provide advisory services to the consortium that's distributing funds on that behalf. So we actually facilitate that funding. Sometimes we're not the best funder. Sometimes somebody like the Alex Foundation or one of the other private family foundations in town is. And I spend a lot of time talking to those folks as well, just so that we are not duplicating unnecessarily, but facilitating together. So we're a collection of funds that mirrors the hopes and dreams of the communities. In each of these boxes, we have a number of different methodologies by which people can donate to us. As I said, we're not limited to anything here. We actually look at all of these things. When I started at the foundation, there were approximately 25 individual funds, one specifically for children and youth, one for the environment, one for a couple of agency endowments, a couple of donor advised. We're now at 117 different funds at the foundation. The big one is still the community fund, the one that we make the broadest base of grants from, but we have all of these others. And one of the growth areas that we've had is, other than scholarships, is agency endowments. So a lot of organizations have opted to, instead of having their own foundation, to have a foundation or a fund with us. Our rate of return is better. And the reality for that is that means that they're not finding a separate board. They're not finding, they're not doing a separate audit. There's an economy of scale. So for example, the Inn of the Good Shepherd, Theatre Sarnia, the International Symphony Orchestra, off the top of my head are three that leap to mind because I've been working very closely to build those this year. If there's an agency, in OLL is another one that we have funds for. We also have funds for some of the service clubs in town. We have the Petrolia Rotary Club has a fund with us specifically to keep some of the money that they raise local. The Golden K Kiwanis actually has a fund with us, and that's been extraordinarily successful in giving back. So we're very pleased to be able to do those kinds of things for folks. We are a partner in helping people build legacies. The McPherson Fountain, whether you like it or not, was one of the very first projects we got involved with. And I actually think it's beautiful, particularly when the water is glistening, the sun is shining, the water's glistening. Lawrence House was actually a project at the foundation, one of the very first. We helped build the Dow Center for Youth. The Wawanesh wetlands were part of the work that we did. And some of the individuals that you see on that screen have funds with us literally in perpetuity. The foundation actually owns some of the Alexander Mackenzie artifacts, which are currently up at the Lambton Heritage Museum, which is kind of an interesting legacy piece for us to be involved with. We are a 360-degree grant maker. We go right around what we call a circle of care. Up until about the middle of this year, that's what our splits looked like. About 24% of the grants that we made went to children, youth, and families. About 15% were community well-being, about 13% for arts, heritage, and culture things. Literacy, education, and employment is 21%. Health, wellness, and recreation is 23%. And then environment and animal welfare was about the 4% mark. At the middle of this year, that graph will change a bit in that there will be a huge bump in community well-being because of the Emergency Community Support Fund, and there will probably also be a bump with children, youth, and families. I haven't got my final numbers yet, so I can't do the second half of the year. So we support, as I said, multiple agencies, projects, and programs. That's an example of some of the organizations that we've donated to so far this year. I just literally last week handed a check for $7,000 to Blue Water Health for the purchase of iPads for patients to be able to connect with their families. We've done a number of those things. We also bought iPads for Mouser Gowland and the county of Lambton this year. We've donated back to the Inn of the Good Shepherd. The Inn's had about $50,000 from us this year so far. Huron House Boys Home has had about 30, for a variety of different reasons and for different on donor recommendations. So essentially, we make a difference in thousands of lives. The reality is most people don't know about us because we are very much behind the scenes. It's really about making the community better and not about blasting our name out there. So I'm always delighted to have the chance to talk to folks like you who quite obviously care about community. We are 12 board members. That's the legislation that created us, and that's an interesting piece. We are actually created by an act of the provincial legislature, and it mandates 12. We draw them from all walks of life and throughout the county. That board is supported by 6 board committees that include community members from across the county, and what we call 6 donor advisory committees. And so we have, for example, the Golden K, I'm going to pick on them because Alan knows this one the best, has a group of gents that, or a group of members that come and talk to me on an annual basis. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul has a scholarship with us. That's a donor advisory committee. So we have funds that have committees that work to build the fund, but B, also distribute monies across the county. We have about 35 volunteers associated with us in all of those committees, and we have slightly less than 2 full-time staff. Our total budget is about $170,000 a year. We run a pretty lean ship. We don't spend money unnecessarily on anything. I'm sitting in the office and I'm looking at furniture. Virtually every piece was donated to us. I think I bought a desk chair, and occasionally I buy a computer, and that's about it. We've been around since 1983. Our first donation was $25. Our smallest donation was 57 cents. And it was a little boy that came in and wanted to donate to one of the funds at the foundation. And we made a big fuss over the 57 cents because that's a donor of the future. It's interesting because he's actually applied for one of the scholarships, and he'll probably get it, which is kind of neat. So that's been a while in happening. And our largest donation was 1.2 million. That's really unusual for us. That was John Rosema's legacy gift to the community and the community foundation. So we're very, very pleased with that one. But as I said earlier, most of the donations are modest in size. We put everyone to good use. We put them into a fund, and we celebrate each and every one with great joy because it means that somebody's turned around to care about their community. So when I started in 2008, our year-end assets were about $2 million. And that was directly related to the Dow Center for Youth Capital campaign that was going on. So you notice that there's a bit of a drop the following year, and that's because the building started to be built and we took money out. At the end of last year, we were at 9.6. And I know that as of November 30th, that we were at 10.2. I don't know what the end of the year will look like. It is giving season. I've had several nice surprises in the mail in the last couple of days, and I've had a couple of people asking about funds at the foundation and how quickly can we get them started. The answer is it takes me about 30 minutes to create a fund at the foundation once I have some very basic information and the donors made a commitment. So we're always happy to hear from people. You don't have to have a fund to donate to the Community Foundation. But if you're thinking about estate planning and you're thinking about long-term giving, it's certainly something worth exploring. We are obviously growing. We are accredited, actually. Imagine Canada has a program that we bought into a couple of years ago. And I shouldn't say bought into, that's not the right word. We did a lot of work to get in there. So they examined our finances, our granting procedures, our donor services, our policies, our general operation. And when they accredit an organization, essentially they're saying that we're top notch. It's like an ISO rating for a company. And so we're very proud to be accredited by that. We are a member of the Community Foundations of Canada, which is a network of 191 community foundations across the country. We feed on one another. We get ideas from one another. We work together on certain projects. We don't, unlike the United Way, we don't report to Community Foundations of Canada. It's a loose federation, actually. It's kind of neat. And we are very open to new ideas and opportunities in the community. So your foundation, and we talk about it as being your foundation because as a resident of Sarnia and or Lambton County, this is really your foundation. It's really about the people that we get to meet, and that's one of the joys of my job. We really do help good people do great things. And when you are part of your foundation, you make your community. So I have one more little video for you. And that is to show you what we've been up to this year. So thanks. That's really what we're about. We're really a one-stop shop. We're always happy to talk to folks in the community, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Well, let me go to gallery view and see if anybody has a question.